I'm Judy Zelina. Welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. Senior citizens, students, veterans, families, everyone needs a helping hand sometimes. St. Martin Center is here to help in times of crisis, and they're here to help those who are ready to achieve long-term goals. They proudly serve Erie County families and individuals each day with programs that help meet their most basic needs and programs that help them to ultimately become more self-sufficient. Joining us on our show today is Jessica Kruger. She is the Advancement Coordinator for St. Martin Center. Jessica, thank you for being on the program. It's been a long time since you've been here.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, it's so good to have you back. Now, I know, because I've done shows about St. Martin Center, I know all the wonderful things that you do, but some of our viewers may not be familiar with your organization. So can you give us a little bit about your history?
Sure. We've been around a long time. I think that people aren't always aware of that. Over 50 years we've been in the community. We started off as a small church basement program, just sort of serving the immediate needs of that community with food and toiletries. And then gradually it's been our mission as community needs continue to evolve and change that we have too. So we've grown and grown, and we are at 17th and Parade now. And also we have a site at 18th and State. It's our early learning center. As we've continued to grow, we've listened to what the community needs. So in '98, for instance, we added in housing services to help people who want to buy a home, maybe who need some financial counseling. We added the early learning center along the journey too to respond to that need, and we just continue to adapt.
And you have a mission. This all encompasses mission. What is that?
So our mission is a bit of what you talked about actually in your opening. It's our mission to help to strengthen lives and support the community through the provision of those immediate crisis needs and then long-term services, ultimately to guide people towards self-sufficiency.
Well, I know firsthand that St. Martin Center has tons of services. You provide so many services. Can you let our viewers know what you have available for them?
Absolutely. We have a food pantry right on site, and it provides all sorts of fresh produce and bread and milk, meat, canned goods. We also
that daily?
That is daily. Yes, that is Monday through Friday, okay. From 8:45 to 12:15, 1 to 3:30. Our food pantry is set up as an emergency food pantry, meaning there is a network of Second Harvest Food Bank food pantries throughout Erie County.
Okay.
And they can help you to find your local neighborhood food pantry first. That's where you have like the churches and schools, the little neighborhood shops that might have the food pantries.
Okay.
And then we come in as an emergency provision once a month eligibility. So that's where we then would provide you those extra staples when you've had a crisis situation that you really just need something more. Mm-hmm. We have that, and our volunteers are wonderful with that food pantry and our staff. And then we also have other emergency services too, our rent assistance program. For that, we recommend calling 814-SHELTER. That is a countywide fielding system, if you will. They coordinate all requests in the area for any housing assistance for rent, security deposit, mortgage, any of those kinds of needs. That's the fielding. You call 814-SHELTER, and then they make a referral for you. And those programs, the emergency assistance for the rent and the security deposit and the mortgage, those have a lot looser income guidelines. I would always recommend just call. If you think you make too much money, you think you don't make any money, whatever it is, always call, because our funding sources change all the time, and there could be a way that we can help you, and we always want you to make that phone call rather than risk homelessness. And our utility assistance, I would say the same thing. We do provide limited utility assistance. I say limited because it's as funds are available. We are a nonprofit, so for any of our programs, it's as the funding is available for those programs. And I would call the agency for that to get that conversation started to see if you're eligible. So that looks like your electric bill, your heating bill, especially as we're getting into these colder months where those bills are going to skyrocket like everything else.
And they're saying all utilities are all increasing this winter.
And we all see those headlines where they're increasing their rates, yes. And of course, no one's income seems to increase to go with that, and families end up struggling, and that's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. And then we have our early learning center at 18th and State Street. That has also had a fun history. It's gone through several locations, and we were really excited in 2016 to purchase this building. Erieites know it was a former bank building on the corner of 18th and State. It was
Right.
People's Security, National City. It was all sorts of locations before that, and that is a Keystone Star 4 rated facility. And I brag about that because Keystone Stars is a Pennsylvania-wide system of rating child care centers, and Star 4 is the highest achievement that you can receive in their system. And they have to work hard to maintain that rating every year. So it's we're really proud of that facility. And that's one of our long-term programs, as it helps families to go back to work while their children receive quality education as well. And then we have our home buying classes and our financial classes too. So if somebody is interested in buying a home, it's a daunting process for anyone who's ever gone through it. They know it's
certainly is.
And it's confusing, and there's so many people that you work with between the lenders and the realtors and inspectors, and what's everyone's role and why do you need all of it, and our class guides you through that. That's another one that I say, maybe it's something that you want at some point. You want to own your own home, but maybe that just doesn't seem achievable, or you have no idea where to begin. That's what we do. We help you get there. We help you figure out the good, the bad, the ugly. Maybe you're far away, maybe you're ready.
And are there times if somebody comes to you and say, okay, I think I'm really ready to buy a home, and you look everything over and they really aren't at that point? Do you advise them to just step back and give them some advice on what to do? So maybe in a couple of years they'd be able to move forward?
That's correct. That would probably tie right in with our credit and budget counseling. Our caseworkers are amazing in that sense, where they're not there to shame you or to point out maybe what's wrong with what your situation is. They're there to give you that guidance and say, you know what, this is wonderful that you want to work toward that. Let's look at what's going on in your life. What can we do? How can we work to decrease some of your expenses, build your savings? What do you need to get your ducks in a row to be able to move on to that next step? That's exactly what they do. So
you said you have credit counselors right there?
We
help
have
them build up their credit.
Yes, they can go through they can go through your credit report and figure out. First of all, show you how to read a credit report. If you've ever looked at your credit report, that can be another daunting thing, and you're going, what is this? And I don't even know what this credit item is, and I thought I paid this off. And if there are those things where you know that they shouldn't be there, they can work with you to help you to dispute those things with the creditors. There are certain things that you're able to do too to work with a credit company and maybe explain why this item might be on your credit report, and you can get notations on there that make it easier than when you go to have your credit pulled. If you don't have any credit history, they can give you the safe ways to build that up. So not necessarily racking up all this credit card debt to do that, but responsible credit building, responsible credit paying, all of those things, and help you to make sure that your credit and your finances are in shape for when that time comes.
And I admire you, your organization, and you guys and your counselors, because first off, I would have to imagine for so many, it's very hard for them to come forward and ask for help. They're embarrassed. They've just dug themselves into a hole, and they don't want anybody else to know, but they don't know how to get out of it. So I appreciate the fact that you said you're there to help, not shame. Everybody's had missteps in their life. We've all had speed bumps, right?
Absolutely, and that's one thing that makes me proud to be a part of this work, because our staff, they truly treat people with such dignity, and we actually we ask for feedback from those that we work with to know if we're doing our job right and if we're helping them. And one thing that has actually stuck out to us is how much they've commented on how they felt when they came in. They felt like they were heard. They felt like they weren't being judged, like they were accepted. And that's so important because, like you said, frankly, no one's coming to us because they're having their best day. Exactly. I like to say that. They're not coming to us on their best day. They're coming because they're finally realizing that they can't feed their child. They're going to lose their house. Their power got turned off. They want to buy a home and they have a mountain of credit card debt. They're not coming to us under their best circumstances. And to take that first step and say, I need help, I can't do this on my own, that takes so much power and strength, and we recognize that. So it's not our job to sit there and say, you know what, you did mess this up. We're there with open arms to say, let's get through this together now, and that's what we really work for.
That is absolutely wonderful. Now, all these programs, how would I know if I'm eligible for a program?
First of all, just to reiterate, always call. I would say that first and foremost, because I think a lot of people assume that they're not. And there are some income guidelines. We do have to follow federal poverty guidelines for a lot of programs, but that can look different for every program. For instance, you might look at that federal poverty chart and say, okay, well, here's my household size, here's my income, look down the chart, oh, I make too much money. But some of our programs are, they might help up to 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, so it gives you that wiggle room where you can make more than what that number says and still receive help. So it's always worth calling just to see. And you know what, maybe you do make too much for that program, but maybe there are other programs that we can help you with that help you then to sort of shift your funds around to be able to pay that bill after all.
Right. Jessica, now you've implemented some changes recently, haven't you?
Yes. I don't know if there's anybody who hasn't now during the last few years of COVID. For us, it was really exciting because while this crazy, awful thing was taking place, it gave us a chance to really do some things that we've known for a long time that we needed for our clients. So for instance, we've wanted to, for a while, find a way to do more digitally. It never made sense to us for our working clients to have to take off work to come to us to get help because they couldn't make ends meet. I mean, that's just not the way it should be done.
Correct.
Unfortunately, it was the only way we could do business for a while, and we finally, because of the pandemic, we were able to secure funds. We were able to get funders on our side to be able to implement digital signing software. It sounds so simple to say it out loud, but when you're a nonprofit, there are certain things that you just can't afford to buy and implement on your own, and it can be hard to run your programs that way, but suddenly everybody recognized the need for that. So we were able to implement that, which allowed us to email documents to our clients, have them sign them on their phone, so they could sign them in the evening after work. They could sign them in the middle of the night if they were third shift and get them back to us. So it expedited processes too, because now they could get their forms back to us so much quicker. We could get them assistance faster, and it met them where they were. And then we were also able to do a lot more with emailing documents and digital signing of documents. Our Early Learning Center, they were able to get tablets for the classrooms. And why that's so wonderful is that they were able to put software on their tablets that allowed them to send parents updates throughout the day. So now when parents are at work, they had a way of being able to get these messages through this program that they were able to do on their phone, download an app, and they could see pictures, they could get messages about how their child is doing throughout the day. The teachers were able to do their assessments right there on site. So instead of having to remember everything a child might have done during the day and then do a manual form later, they could do it all right there. So it streamlined their processes, made their job so much easier, and ultimately that makes everything better for the kids and the families that we serve.
Now, Jessica, COVID saw some changes to the center, and what plans do you have moving forward?
Well, for one, we plan to continue everything that we've established, and honestly, we want to grow what we're doing. We're finding that what we've been able to implement here, as we knew it would, is just impacting our families and those that we serve so greatly. It's making our services more convenient for them as they're able to do the paperwork right from their couch or from work if they need to, or whatever the case may be. It's allowing our parents to feel more connected to their children throughout the day at our Early Learning Center by being able to see these updates. We want to grow into doing more online classes. So the home buying and the financial classes that we talked about, we did manage to get the home buying class onto our website during COVID, but we want to do more of this in a more interactive sense. So have time set up where we're recording these classes and people can participate virtually. We know that there's a need for a lot of this, for instance, out in the county areas, and it's not necessarily feasible or logical for us to drive there regularly and kind of rally everybody together in a location and do this. But if we can do virtual classes and reach more people that really need home buying and financial information, that's where we want to be. So we're excited to see where we can continue to grow.
And I would have to say, if there's any kind of a plus with COVID, a lot of organizations are finding that virtual, they're able to reach so many people. And this wasn't even an idea that people thought of beforehand. But seeing how it worked, and then we perfected it, so it seems to be working. It's working for you guys.
I agree. There's been, as awful as it's been to go through the last couple pandemic years, we've had to look for the positive things that have come out of it. And we've been providing what all of us have known throughout the last few years as essential services. That's been where we've been for 50 years. Mm-hmm. And this sort of propelled us into that moment where people could see, look, St. Martin Center is doing exactly what people need right now. Yes. And we were able to keep doing that. And this was kind of our moment to shine, where we were able to be that piece that families needed. And we never want to see anybody go through what they were going through, but to know that we could be at least that resource and help to lift them up and to show them the next steps is wonderful.
And how many people did you serve in different areas of need last year?
Last year it was very busy for us. The way that the economy has been fluctuating, and there's been changes with people either getting back to work maybe and trying to dig out of COVID issues, or maybe they're still struggling. So we've had an increase in numbers, and our food pantry has roughly tripled just over a course of a couple months. Actually, it tripled in number that we were serving each month. It continues to grow, actually. Our children at the Early Learning Center, we prepare them for K through 12. We have pre-kindergarten education all the way up to before and after school care. And last year we served around 175 children with those programs.
Oh my goodness.
And then one number that is fascinating to point out is we had almost 300 households that didn't become homeless because they either received rent assistance, mortgage assistance, utility assistance, and when we say those numbers and say, oh, we prevented homeless, it sounds like we're being dramatic. But, I've stopped and thought before about how that whole process works. If you can't make that rent payment, it literally leads to that.
Exactly.
You lose your home, and that's it. And you don't have another option, or else you'd be using that option. And the utility piece, you get that shutoff notice, and it's just sort of that beginning spiral, and everything falls apart. And it's so easy to just slip down that path and become homeless. And if we can... We want to come in there and help in those beginning steps there. Right. So 300 households, they didn't have to go through that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, what are you seeing as your most current needs?
Gosh, that feels like a loaded question.
Everything.
Everything, yes. So I would say two of our biggest needs that our clients have, and then I can tell you our agency needs. For those who are watching who maybe they're not in need of our services, but maybe they feel compelled to help after hearing some of these things that we're doing. People are still very, very much in need of food. And that's been our largest thing that we have seen over the last few months. Okay. So I would like to reiterate, if someone's in that position and that's what they need, start with Second Harvest Food Bank. And it's not to pass the buck. It's more like there could be a neighborhood food pantry that's just within like a block or two of you that you're not aware of, and they might be able to help you. And then we can provide emergency once a month food. Come and see us. We're there Monday through Friday. And if you don't remember any of that, give us a call. That's always an easy way too. And then our rent assistance, rent and mortgage assistance. One thing that has changed significantly through COVID with that is that we used to provide 1 month of assistance, and now we're providing multi-month assistance, which can come out to thousands of dollars because rent prices are all over the place, mortgage prices, and if someone's been struggling for months, they're months behind, and that's months that they need to pay to stay in their home. And what good is it going to do if we can give them 1 month? It's not going to help them. So those have been our biggest client needs. And then for us, the dollars to make that happen. We need the financial resources to make sure that we can continue to provide for people, to continue to keep our lights on so we can keep helping people, to continue providing food, provide them with rent assistance and mortgage assistance. And then we also have a significant need at our childcare, or our Early Learning Center. We're not oblivious to the fact that there's a teacher shortage everywhere, but it's affecting us too. We desperately need teachers, not only to simply to fill those positions, but it directly impacts the amount of children that we can help. Exactly. So right now we have classrooms that we've had to close because we don't have the staffing for it. So as we can continue to fill those positions, we can add more children. So all of that information too, if you're watching this and you think, hey, I know somebody, it's all on our website. You can call us. We're an amazing place to work. We have a great benefit package, everything that you could ever want, and you get to know every day that you're making a difference for a child.
Well, you guys do a wonderful job. And I'm sure with all your different programs you hear and have seen so many rewarding stories. So this is what I wanted to ask. Could you share some testimonials with us? Let our viewers know how people just appreciate.
Absolutely.
And the success you've had with so many people.
So we helped a young woman, Sia Mata. She was a parent with our Early Learning Center. And she said, this is a direct quote from her, "I am incredibly grateful with St. Martin Early Learning Center for the daycare. I'm a single mother. Everything is a little hard. But with them, I get help with food. I had to stop working because of an accident. She had to have surgery on her collarbone, actually, and it put her out of work for several months. They helped me with a mortgage payment because I was behind on everything. I really appreciate everything that they have been doing for me, and they made Christmas wonderful for my daughter. So that just warms our heart. I mean, she received, she was a parent at our facility, and she received a little bit of everything, and it just gave her that boost. And she's one of the stories that really fits with what we like to share as far as, this can happen to anybody.
Yes, it can.
She had surgery and it put her out of work. You can't predict that. And suddenly she's got her daughter and she can't pay her mortgage, and that's a scary place to be. And so I'm so happy that we were able to help her. We have Carlicia. She's also actually at our Early Learning Center, and she received housing assistance as well. And she said, this is going to help me and all of my 6 children from being on the streets. It will help me with a head start at a new start to get back on track. So her and her little ones, and she just needed that little boost to just get back on track now. And this is a short one from Naisha. This will help me and my children with our lights and gas bills so we can have our lights in our home and warm food on the stove.
Things that so many of us just take for granted. You go home, turn the stove on, and make your dinner.
Exactly. We're all going to go do it after work today. Yes. And that was something that she was losing. And she's just so grateful to have that back. We had Brittany. She's an interesting case because I think a lot of parents face this during COVID. The CARES funding ended, and you no longer were guaranteed to have that paycheck if you had a quarantine.
Right.
And she faced quarantine after quarantine with her daughters being in a public school, and she had to miss work because of it. They're young; they couldn't just stay home, and that impacted her finances. She said, "I lost my job because my girls got sick and had to stay out of school because of COVID." And that just breaks your heart.
It does.
So we were able to help her with a rent assistance. We were able to stabilize her to give her her current month and then 1 month ahead so that she could begin to get back on track and not have to worry about that piece. And they were sent home multiple times to quarantine, and it's just another one of those things that you can't predict. That's no longer covered, and you miss work, you don't have the sick time, and your girls need you.
And then you never in a million years did you think you were going to be in that place, but you guys were there for them. Those are wonderful stories. You guys do so many wonderful things. How can we help you?
To continue to spread the word.
Okay.
Teachers and finances, those are the biggest things that we need. We could use volunteers in our food pantry. Just spreading the word. Follow us on Facebook. We have information on Facebook all the time with what we're doing. We're very transparent about what your dollars are doing. You'll see our pictures. You'll see more of these stories posted all the time to show how dollars are being used. We have our job openings on there, volunteer opportunities. So any involvement that somebody would want to take with St. Martin Center to help out, it's all right there. And then if, like I said, if somebody is in need, they can contact us through Facebook. So if you're here and call us and you go, okay, I work though, crazy hours, or message us on Facebook, shoot us an email. There's many options there. So don't be afraid to reach out. And if you're in a position that you can help us, we would definitely appreciate that as well.
Okay. And again, you've mentioned the different places where we can reach out if we have any more questions. Where could we get more information?
The same ways, I would say. Facebook, we have a website, smcerie.org.
Okay.
And that has every piece of information. I manage that website, and I've tried to get everything on there that I could possibly think of.
I was on your website, and I have to tell you, viewers, really, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
There's a lot on there. It's so user-friendly. Any question you have, you're able to answer it very easily.
Yes, and one thing I would like to mention, because I think it's important, when I'm reaching out to a new place, you don't know what you're going to get back. And if somebody submits an email through that website, it comes directly to me personally. So I make sure that I either can answer that myself, or I'm putting you in touch with another human being. So don't feel like you're reaching out into the abyss and who's going to see this and am I going to get anywhere? There's always a human on the other end, forwarding it to another human, talking to another human about, hey, what do we do here? There's always somebody there.
And that's important.
Yes.
Yeah, very important. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Our time has come to an end. You and I could sit here and probably talk for another hour at least about everything. But you guys do a wonderful job. I love having you on the program. I love to get the word out to our viewers because, again, you guys are awesome. And thank you for being there for the community. We all appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Viewers, thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel. If you have any questions or need more information, please reach out. St. Martin Center is there for you, and they will be glad to give you any assistance you may need. So viewers, thanks you again for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.